Well, that wasn't worth it. I have played over the last year or so the James Bond games, at least the ones that were released on PS3, and while I haven't watched many 007 movies, I did enjoy the Activision Bond games so far. They are not great, but were quite some fun, especially those that are more like Call of Duty, at least for me. But this one I was pushing in front of me for a while now. I also recorded only the first play session I had, so there won't be much material for later on. I also didn't want to set it up later, as I didn't like to put all this stuff up and plug it in and out. Especially not for this game. But let's talk about it. 007 Legends has an actually interesting premise. Bond is fighting Patrice on a train, and Naomi Harris is having both of them in her crosshairs. Eventually she gets the order to shoot, and of course she is hitting James. But fortunately she shoots like a girl, and James doesn't die but falls into the river and is remembering previous missions. From there on we see James and Goldfinger, License to Kill, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Die Another Day and Moonraker, none of which I have watched, I think. And yeah, I had to look up a couple of these titles now because I didn't know what the missions are based on. All the Bonds here are switched to Daniel Craig, and some of the actors have been changed as well. The models are mostly the same to the movies though, more or less. But the voice actors are all different. Without further knowledge of the series, it's kind of baffling to follow the storylines, and putting them all together makes it even worse. But there are some fun set pieces at least. The Moonraker mission was quite fun at the beginning. There is a variety with shooting, stealth, driving, QTEs, mostly for fighting sequences, hacking minigames and collectibles. We also ride down on skis and ride a motorcycle. Sounds like it could be great and a lot of fun, right? Right? Right?
Oh man! Oh god! Oh man! Oh god! Oh man! Oh god! Oh man! Oh god! Oh man!
This was kind of awful. I think the devs tried, but it just didn't get together properly. The game feels very rough. I was shot a couple of times through walls. The enemies are obviously hit scanning, often pointing the gun in a random direction and still hitting you. There are areas with no proper cover, which is aggravating. The checkpoints are sometimes terribly set. I mean, a lot of times mechanics or mission objectives are not well presented, making it confusing what you have to do. The stealth also kind of sucks, and there are mandatory stealth sections, which really doesn't help the game. The driving is also terrible, and you often ran into things because you can't control the vehicles well, and you don't always know when the game itself changes directions or when you hit an invisible wall that doesn't let you move more into the direction, causing you to crash into another tree or car. The weapons are fine, there are some gadgets that are okay, the hacking games are lame and are annoying. The secondary objectives are often not clear. So I walked past some of them and only realized that I missed something when the objective failed message appeared. There's also a DLC mission which covers the events of Skyfall, I guess, which is okay up to a point and eventually culminates into one of the worst boss fights I have ever encountered. The game starts kind of odd. I started playing it in classic mode, by the way, which was a huge mistake, as you don't have regenerative health in that mode, but have to pick up health kits and armor. This is usually cool, but here it's just another thing that doesn't work. Most of the time there's no health or armor to pick up, meaning there were entire parts of the game, and I'm not saying areas of a level, but several levels in which there were no health packs or armor to be found. I'm not sure if this was a bug or just bad level design, but it was just miserable. The game plays like a Call of Duty ripoff, not like Quantum of Solace for example, which was Call of Duty but in a Bond skin, but like one of these games that City Interactive used to make. It also just gets worse and worse as it progresses. There are also some areas that have respawning enemies, which is a fucking nightmare if you don't have health also spawning, which usually doesn't happen. Moonraker was kind of fun as I said at first, but it gets worse and worse until it gets just miserable, especially as you later get laser guns, which are powerful but the shot is slower. But the shot is much slower than regular weapons, which is also annoying as you float around in space. Which sounds cool at first, but makes you a sitting duck without cover while enemies are coming from every side shooting off your armor and health which you can't recover. Which was a problem for me as I didn't play on as I didn't play on Modern, which would have regenerative health. So if you want to check out the game for any reason, after this review, at least play with regenerative health, because the classic mode is just broken, it seems. The last mission is even worse. When you eventually fight Patrice, you are both in an office with glass walls. That is empty. Weird location, but okay. And you have to stop him from assassinating someone. The problem is just you have no cover at all, and Patrice is a bullet sponge, similar to the boss enemies in Soldier of Fortune Payback. But you can't just run towards him and punch him or shoot him in the face to stunlock him. You have to try and shoot him and find a position from which he doesn't hit you, which is almost impossible. There are some pillars which you can try to use as a cover, but most of the time Patrice will still hit you. Assault rifles, grenades, fog grenades or flashbangs, the guns that he has can easily kill you. If you somehow survive this, you can fight him some more on the next floor. Here Patrice is shooting from the other side of the office at you, and the way I defeated him was hide behind a pillar, which works as a cover on that floor at least most of the time, and take some pot shots at him every couple of seconds. After a lot of shots, I killed him finally, but not without dying myself. Ready to throw the controller out of the window, the last save loaded, and fortunately I was after that point and was able to walk into Patrice's last trap, being attacked by him and eventually fighting him in a lame QTE and then throwing him out of the fucking window. And that was it. I was done. There are some challenges I guess, but I don't care. This was just miserable. The last time I had this little fun with a shooter was probably with the later Painkiller add-ons. What makes the whole thing worse is that there are good moments. There are some nice ideas, but none of it is fleshed out or properly implemented. Probably there were some brutal deadlines that needed to be met, so this was what the devs were able to do in the time they had. It's unfortunate, as I think there is a decent game somewhere that could have been released with more time. But everything that starts nice turns bad eventually, and while I thought of this being just mid a couple of times, it ended up being so frustrating that I have to give it a lower rating. As I said, maybe with regenerative health this would be better, but as it is, it sucked. And this 007 game doesn't get a 7 but a 3 out of 10. 007 First Light looks nice though. I'm curious to see how that will turn out. Anyways, see you in the next one.